The eternal haunting of Rani Padmini of Chittorgarh. She was a queen of unmatched beauty, courage, and honor. A woman who chose fire over dishonor. Rani Padmini of Chittorgarh, remembered for her sacrifice and feared for her restless spirit. Even centuries after her death, her presence lingers in the ruins of Chittorgarh Fort. Today, we journey through history, legend, and the whispers of the paranormal to uncover the haunting of Rani Padmini. The story of Rani Padmini, also known as Padmavati, begins in the late 13th century. Born in the kingdom of Singhal, far away in Sri Lanka, she was famed for her radiant beauty and sharp intellect. Through marriage, she became the queen of Maharawal Ratan Singh, ruler of Chittorgarh. But fate had darker plans. News of her beauty reached Alauddin Khilji, the Sultan of Delhi, a ruler known for his ruthless ambition. Obsessed with possessing her, Khilji marched his armies to Chittorgarh in 1303. When diplomacy failed, he laid siege to the fort. For months, the Rajputs resisted, until supplies dwindled. At last, Rani Padmini and the women of Chittor faced a choice: slavery and dishonor, or fire. And so, they chose Jauhar, self-immolation, walking into flames to protect their dignity. The night of the Jauhar is etched in history as one of the most tragic acts of mass sacrifice. Thousands of women, led by Rani Padmini herself, dressed in bridal clothes, marched silently to the Jauhar Kund. The men of the fort prepared for their final battle, knowing they would die at dawn. Eyewitness accounts from folklore describe the flames leaping high, the chants of the women, and the cries that echoed into the night. That fire did not only consume flesh, it consumed an empire. And many believe it left behind restless souls, forever tied to the stone walls of Chittorgarh. Centuries later, travelers and locals began reporting strange experiences within Chittorgarh Fort. The Jauhar Kund became the center of whispered tales. On certain nights, people claimed to hear the faint sound of anklets, the rustle of silk, and even the cries of women. Some spoke of glowing figures moving near the pit where the fire once raged. One villager recalled how, on a full moon night, he saw a woman in Rajput attire walking toward the Kund, only to vanish before his eyes. Perhaps the most mysterious part of the fort is Padmini's palace. Legend says this is where Alauddin Khilji glimpsed her reflection in a mirror, sparking his obsession. Even today, the palace feels alive with her presence. Tourists describe sudden chills despite the desert heat. Guards whisper of flickering shadows across the walls, as though someone unseen still moves through the rooms. On quiet nights, it is said you can hear the sound of a woman sighing near the palace windows, looking out across the hills, waiting for a freedom that never came. Modern visitors continue to report strange encounters. Paranormal investigators who have entered the fort after dusk speak of electronic devices malfunctioning, sudden drains of battery, and unexplained whispers caught on recorders. One group described hearing the faint chant of Har Har Mahadev, the war cry of the Rajputs, echoing through the walls at midnight. Another visitor swore she saw a veiled figure standing at the palace balcony, glowing faintly, before dissolving into the night air. Chittorgarh was not marked by tragedy only once. History records 3 separate Jauhars within its walls, each leaving behind countless souls who perished in fire. Locals believe the fort is cursed, its stones soaked with the memory of sacrifice and war. Padmini's spirit, they say, is not alone. She is joined by the countless women who followed her into the flames. To this day, villagers warn against wandering too close to the Jauhar Kund at night. They say the Queen's spirit protects the fort, driving away anyone who would dishonor its memory. Some historians argue that Rani Padmini may be more legend than fact, immortalized in the epic poem Padmavat, written 2 centuries after the events. Yet whether she truly lived or became a symbol, the paranormal stories persist. Legends have power, and sometimes they linger in ways that defy explanation. Rani Padmini chose honor over life, but her sacrifice bound her spirit to the walls of Chittorgarh. If you walk the fort at night, listen carefully near the palace windows or the Jauhar Kund. You may hear the echo of footsteps, the whisper of silk, or the cry of a queen who never left. History remembers her as a legend, but the fort remembers her as something more, a haunting that refuses to fade. Like and subscribe for more such content.